Good evening and welcome to our Year 11 exam update. Thank you once again for joining us. I hope that you can hear me clearly. Please email me or message me if you can't hear me or if there's feedback or a problem. I'm hoping that it's going to be clear and we are going to be, technology is going to work with us today and we'll have no problems. The Q&A is available and open. Please feel free to email us during the evening. It shouldn't take that long, but it is really important that you join us this evening. We're very grateful for that. Can I also say that we will be sending a copy home if you need one, and making this available on our website or a link to it, so that you'll be able to come back and check anything that we've said if you're not too sure. Mr Nelson's with me. I'm going to do most of the talking this evening because I like my own voice, but I will try to explain as we go what's happened with exams this year, and hopefully it will be as clear as mud. As you know, students do not take nationally assessed exams this year. For GCSE or A levels, this would have been the fairest way, as we all do the same. It really would have been the fairest way. You know that the exam board set the same exam for each student in that particular subject. All the students do the same exam. It gets graded by people who don't know the students. They do their own quality assurance. Yes, we can appeal some of the grades we feel that mistakes are made, but at least we know that all the students have sat the same test, and that the theory is everyone who gets a grade 5 is the same as somebody else in another college that gets a grade 5. We don't have that now, because we don't know how other schools have decided to test, what evidence they've decided to use, what mock papers they've used, what questions they've used, and they are having to come up with what their students think is a grade 5, a grade 6 or a grade 7 in business studies, and so are we. And so it has been really hard. So we're dealing with it the best we can. We as school and departments are producing student grades, or we're calling them centre assessed grades. You might see in the press that they're called teacher assessed grades. We feel that is unfair. It isn't down to individual teachers. We as a college, we as a school community are all in this together, and we have a centre-led policy to ensure that the grades that we are going to send the exam board for your students is as accurate and as fair as we can possibly get them. And I want to stress that again. We are doing our best to make sure that we are as thorough, that we are as open, we are as rigorous as we can be in generating those grades. And so we feel that is something that we take responsibility for as a centre. Grades for all qualifications will be based on a process involving what the teacher assesses in class against national standards. So we're not just making up grades and making up grade boundary. We're using existing past papers, past questions, what the exam boards have now given us in terms of support and guidance. And we're using all those and the grade boundaries to ensure that we have quality and rigour, and the assessment is as accurate as we can possibly get it. We also do an internal quality assurance, and we're going to be externally quality assured by exam boards. They're going to ask to see what we've done, and they're going to check that the grade that we've come up with based on what we are doing is accurate and to the point. So they're not going to argue, they're not going to just let us arbitrarily make a grade. They're going to check our grades, and they're going to make sure that we are doing the right thing. Again, they can't compare us to other centres. They can only check that what we've done and what the process we've been through is to the level that they expect. So as I said, we will be producing these grades against national and external standards. It will be based on evidence performance of students on the content that they have been taught only. So we're not testing them on things they don't know and things they haven't been taught. We are only testing them on what they have been taught. That is national guidance. It's a bit unfair because we have actually taught in most of our subjects the entire course content. But I know of a school where in one subject they'd only covered 2/3 of the course, and then they were just going to give a grade based on 2/3 of the course. It's fair on those students because they haven't had the time to do the rest, but it is a bit unfair on our students who have had a broader range of knowledge to be tested on. But we will only test them on what we know they have been taught. And there will be, as I said, external quality assurance taken by the exam boards. So we've been doing CAP tests, continuous assessment process tests. We have carried them out under high control. What that means is that we have moderated, we have monitored, we have had invigilators in terms of the teachers, have invigilated those tests under as close to exam conditions that we can get, so that we know that students aren't cheating, cannot be accused of cheating, and we know that all the students are being tested under the same conditions. That's what high control means. Our heads of department, working with teachers, will ensure that a range of 3 CAPS tests, we've done 3, we've done 1 already, we're currently doing the second one, we have a third one coming up in a couple of weeks, and if necessary and appropriate, mock exams or any other evidence we have is going to be used to come up with the grade that we want to give the student, and it will cover as broad a range of content, as broad a range of objectives as possible. CAP tests will include student work produced in centre-devised tasks that reflect the specification, that follow the same format as exams. So what the awarding body tests and exams that they set, they will follow the same procedure, they will follow the same process, and they've been marked in a way that reflects the awarding organisation's mark schemes. So if we've used a parts paper, which we have used in many occasions, we are basing the mark schemes on the mark schemes that were generated at that time. It helps us, everybody, to be fair, everyone to be on a level playing field. And students' work is blind marked. What that means is we get them to put their candidate number on their papers, not their names. So that teachers do not know, because we're clever, but we're not that clever. I've struggled to remember students' names. I'm not going to remember their candidate number as well. Mr Nelson obviously knows everything, but he's rare. Most teachers don't know the candidate number for the students. So what we then have is we can identify which student's work it is, but teachers can't see it. So when they mark it, we mix up the papers. We'll give a range of papers, especially in, say, large subjects like English, maths, science, where there are more than one class, business studies. We'll basically split the work up so teachers do not know if they're marking students' work that they taught or another teacher's work. That means they can't be accused of bias. They can't be accused of being unfair in their marking. It's just another way that we are trying really hard to ensure that we are fair and we are being rigorous. The result from the CAPS test will not be the only way that the grade for your students are going to be generated. They won't be the only grades that are being used. I'm not going to lie to you and say they won't be the main grades that are used, and they won't have a major impact on the grade. But if we feel that there are other methods of assessment and other things the students have produced that we can show is the student's own work, that we can show was produced under the same level of honesty and rigour that the CAP tests are being done, then we can include that. So I know that English want to include some of the marks that they did, questions they did in their mock papers when they came back in September, because they feel that that was a good paper and the students performed well on it. So that is something that we will consider. It's all being put into the mix. This is really important. Unlike last year, the grades that we are producing are not based on what we think a student can get. So it's not us having a conversation with you saying, your son, he really could be capable of getting a grade 7. This is based on what they are demonstrating in their work right now and where it is appropriate, the past work that they have done. So I'm going to just repeat that. It is not based on what we think their potential could be. It is based on what they are demonstrating now. It doesn't matter if you feel that your student should get a grade 8 for maths. I might well agree with you. It is based on what he is demonstrating in his actual CAT test now. And that is why we're not basing the grades on just one test. So unless we have absolute evidence that we feel he's getting a grade 8 for maths, then he might well get a lower grade. Okay, that is really important, because there is a right to appeal, and I will give you that information a bit later, but it doesn't matter. You can't appeal because you feel they should have. If there is no evidence for that, we cannot give it to them. We cannot base it on what they are capable of. We have to demonstrate it on what they're actually achieving. And don't forget, the grades will have been thoroughly quality assured. Yeah, the processes that we are using will be checked by the exam boards. The processes have been thoroughly looked at, and we have had to jump through a number of hoops to make sure that we justify that what we are doing, we feel is accurate, fair, honest, and rigorous. So samples of how we do that will be checked externally by the exam board. We will have to send off samples of our marking to the exam board. It's the week beginning the 21st of June. They will let me know who they want. They will choose it, and they will check that they think we are being fair and that we've actually, our way of doing it is accurate and has been something they approve of. So here's I haven't got a video today, but I could not have this. If you look here, this is what I showed you in our very first webinar for those that joined me then. Going right back, Richard Whitehead, double amputee, running in the 200 meters, and there he is there. He's in last place. And I showed you the video and said that normally I would show you that it doesn't matter where you are now, because if I played this as a video, he would storm through like a hot knife through butter, and he would win by about 15 meters. He is going to win this race. Unfortunately, if he was doing his GCSEs this year, they would stop the race now, and he wouldn't have his gold medal. That is where we are now. Yeah, we are where he is now, not where he could be. And that's really, really important. And it's really important that you keep that in mind and be realistic and honest with your son to make sure that they are working as hard as they can in what they have left to make sure they show us what they are capable of. So the timeline and key dates to look at. We did send an email out to parents on Friday of the timetable for CAPS test, and individual students were given a copy for the remaining CAPS test yesterday. So they have got one. Ask them for it if you haven't received your one by email. Mr Nelson will address in his bit in a little while why maybe people aren't receiving things in their emails. Thursday the 13th of May is a life skills day in school, but actually we are going to allow year 11s to study from home. There are no tests on that day, and we're giving them an independent study at home day. So year 11 do not have to come into school on Thursday the 13th of May. They have to come in on Friday the 14th, but they do not have to come in on Thursday the 13th of May. That is an independent study at home day. Then the week beginning the 24th of May, that is the week before half term. Only students doing art, DT or food will need to come into college. So the food tech students, the art students and the DT students have each got a one day where they are going to be working continuously on their evidence for their grades. And it is vital that they attend those days. Okay. Unless other specific students may be asked to come in during that week to sit a task they've missed, to do an additional assessment, and Mr Nelson will be in touch with them to tell those students if they need to come in and when they need to come in. So although for the majority of students that week will be, oh, we haven't got a lot to do, if students are asked to come in, they must. We need your support in that. We need to know that we can rely on them and you to ensure that you support us, because if we don't get the evidence we need, that will affect their grade. The week starting the 31st of May is half term. We do not have to submit the grades to the exam board until the 18th of June, which is 2 weeks after the half-term break. Now, we do not plan to keep students till the 18th of June, and we will confirm to you what will happen. But we do need students to be in school for the first 3 days back after half term. That is Monday the 3rd of June, Tuesday the 4th and Wednesday the 5th of June. They will be doing non-academic careers days. We have the army coming in on one day to do a whole load of exercises and trying to help them with their skills, team working, problem solving, a bit of a mini assault course. So, yeah, we're trying to do something that's fun, but actually focusing on the non-academic areas that will help our students to actually be the best that they can be when they enter the workplace or go on to university or go on to further education. So we are expecting students in on Monday, the 3rd of June. It will also give us another opportunity to help the students to do additional tasks if they've missed any, or if we feel that we need a little bit more evidence from them to give them a grade that we feel that they should be getting. So if they're right on the cusp of a 6 or a 7 or a 7 or an 8, we might want to set an additional task which allows us to get a bit more evidence that will help us to make that decision. So not coming in again could affect their possible grade. We need you to be here. It's really important. So that is the week before half term, only coming in for art, DT or food technology. They know where those dates are. They are on the timetable. Unless you're contacted by Mr Nelson or a member of staff from the school or myself to say, we need your son to come in on this day to do this. And we will try and give you as much notice as we can. GCSE results, for those that have had students in the school previously, or I've had older children that have gone through it, and will know that normally GCSEs come out towards the end of August and A-level results come out the week before. Well, it's totally different this year. GCSE results come out on Thursday, the 12th of August. That is early. If you have older students that are doing A-levels, that's going to be on Tuesday, the 10th. They're coming out in the same week. So we will give you more details on the process for collecting results. We will encourage you to be around on those days to get your results. And can I just stress right here, we cannot email you results. We can post results to you if you're not going to be around on Thursday the 12th and you provide us with a stamped addressed envelope. We cannot give students results to other people without a written note from that student that that person can collect their results. That includes parents. So mum, dad, uncle, aunt, I cannot give you a student's results unless the student has said that I can. This is the first time, if there are any students listening, these are your results, no one else. I did work in a school once where a family were unfortunately affected by divorce, and the children weren't speaking to one of the parents, it was mum. And she rang up the school and said, can you tell me what my son got in his GCSEs? Because he won't tell me. And I said, I'm really sorry, I can't. And I spoke to the student, he said, don't tell her. And unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to tell her. They belong to the student. Now, I know that won't affect anybody here, but if you want to collect your son or daughter or son's results, then please make sure that you have a note from them written that says you can do so. Post results, students do have a right to appeal. Parents don't. Again, they are students' results. If students want to appeal, they can. I would advise them that they need to be really careful about appealing because it might not get them anywhere and there is a danger to appealing. But students can, parents can't. The student has to be the one that signs the form and says, I want to appeal my result. The process of appeals, I'm going to run through quickly. We will be sending that out with more information on collecting exam results and what happens on the day. I believe the need for an appeal should be limited because we are putting so many checks and standards and monitoring and opportunity in place to generate the grades that we feel that we have been as thorough as we possibly can be. And that will be the first thing the exam board looks at. They can't question us on what we've done because loads of schools have done different things. They can look at the work we produced, they can look at the evidence that we feel we've used to generate an exam grade, and they can turn around and say, do you know what, yeah, we would agree with you, that question is a level 5, therefore it's a level 5. Or they might feel that we have done it wrong, but they're checking us at all stages. So I think we've been so thorough that we're going to do our best to generate grades. But that doesn't stop your right to appeal if you feel that we haven't got it right. Now, this is the process that's available to you. It starts with the centre, us, you appealing to us, and us checking if we feel that that individual, because mistakes do get made maybe, we will check to make sure that the grade that we have generated, we have gone through every stage, every process, and made sure that everything we've done is accurate and to the letter that the processes and policies that we have decided. We'll do our very best. If you still feel that you aren't happy with that, they can go to the awarding body and they will ask me to produce a report of everything, all the decisions we made, all the evidence, and then they will make a decision on that, which I'm hoping, because we've been thorough, they will then say, no, that's fine. I have to say to you, though, last year, they protected grades. They said that if they discovered that a student's grade should actually be lower, they wouldn't lower the grade. This year, they are not protecting grades. So if there is a problem with the appeal, if an appeal is upheld and they feel the grade is wrong, if they feel the school has been too generous, they can lower the grade. And if they feel that a whole cohort in a particular subject is generous, they can lower the grade for all students, even though they didn't appeal. Now, that is why I am talking to you now and assuring you that we are putting every check and internal moderation, every form of quality assurance we can into place to ensure that the grades we give are honest, accurate, as fair as can be, as rigorous as we can be, and as unbiased as we can be. That actually we are doing the best we can, so that none of this is going to be necessary. When we first did this, Mr Nelson and I were a bit of a fortune tellers. We were not so good with lottery numbers or predicting how Liverpool and Tottenham are going to do this year. But we were pretty good on this because we said that, back in September when we first did our first one in October, we said we don't know what's going to happen, but they might well cancel exams this year. Premonition. We said be prepared, it's not a rehearsal. That message is as true today as it was then. We cannot tell you or students what the final centre assessed grade will be. We cannot tell you what grade we are going to suggest to the exam boards, because ultimately they will say yay or nay, but pretty much they will agree with us if they agree with all the checks that they've made and we pass all the quality assurance they do. We are not allowed to tell you what grade is going to be in that envelope on the 12th of August. Please do not ask us. Please do not ask teachers. They have been told they cannot tell you. We can tell students how they've done in, say, an individual CAT test. We can tell them the grade they got for that test only. We can say that the grade is a contributor to their final grade. We can't tell you your final grade. Can tell you how you've done in that particular test. So I put this on. However, 1 + 1 = 2, not 4. So please be aware. We don't want students or parents to be surprised at results. If we have students that are consistently performing at a level and they expecting a final grade that is, say, a 2 levels higher, don't be surprised if they don't get it. This whole process is about marking where they are now in the race, which is why it's imperative they continue to work hard. I can't tell you what grade they're going to get, but you can pretty much work out whereabouts they're going to be. Please support students to do their best in every test left. It is the real thing. It isn't a rehearsal. I want to thank teachers. They have and are continuing to work so hard. They're putting in the hours, and Joe, many of us and them are having sleepless nights because it's a big burden to have that what you are doing and the marking you are doing is going to make such an impact on the students that we've taught for the last 5 years of their life at St Joseph's. One thing about St Joseph's is we do care, and I want to thank teachers in public for all the hard work and everything they are doing. They are working long hours, longer than you would think, to make sure this is accurate. And many are going to be using half term to make sure that they moderate and they mark the work that's been done to make sure that they've done the best job they can for your sons. If you need to contact me or the school, there is an email address. Many of you have got my email, but there is an exams2021@sjc.ac. Yeah, for any questions about grades, contact me, please. Do not ask the teachers. Do not put them in that position. I'm asking you to please respect that. And don't ask us what the grades are. But please go back to the 3rd bullet point. Have a discussion with your son. Where are you? How are you doing? Okay, we can make plans to move on. And what we're going to do, we have 2 CATS tests left. And we will do our very best to support them through to the end. I'm now going to pass you over to Mr Nelson, just so you can hear his dulcet tones.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Mr Cabrera, for going through all the difficult technical stuff. He's just been kind enough to stick a little slide on the end for me to read out. I just want to kind of start by saying that it's been a long journey that we've been on. I've been their head of year since year 8, and that's, you know, a long time ago now. So they were little children, and now they're grown up. And I didn't want it to end in this way for them. And I think that it's something that's impacted us all in different ways. We've all experienced the last year, the pandemic, and it's impacted us all. But I would like to say how proud I am of them, that overwhelmingly they have adjusted and adapted to the situation that they've been in, to the information they've had to take on board, to having to deal with all of the different changes that have occurred compared to what they were expecting to happen to them in the next, over the past few months. And they have gone at it really, really, really well. They've approached it really, really, really well. And I'd just like to say, for those students that are listening, and for obviously for parents and guardians, how proud I am of them as a year group. But just kind of with an eye on this last push, if you like. We've been on this journey from 4.5 years of age. I'm sure I said this in a previous webinar, where they've worked and done homework and been in classes, hundreds and thousands of hours of classes to get to this point. And now we are so close to the finish line. It is imperative, absolutely vital. I cannot express to you the importance of ensuring that your students do not miss their CAT tests. If they are ill, and it does happen, there are a few at the moment who are just simply unable to come to school, then that is just one of those things that happens. But please let me know as soon as possible so that I can make some arrangements for them. It is vital that you let me know. But they should be coming in unless in the most dire situation, they should be coming in to make sure that they sit all of their CAP tests. They need to keep going. I know it's been hard, I know it's tough, I know they're tired, we're all tired, but the end is in sight. And as Mr. Cabrera has outlined in great length there, we have put in so much into place, given the kind of the late date at which we received guidance from the government, and we have put so much in place to ensure that every one of our boys has the opportunity to demonstrate the best of themselves in each of their subjects. Not just one CAP test, not two, but three. And all of the moderation and the blind marking and all of those things that have gone into making sure that when we do come to the end and they do open that envelope in August, that it will be a fair representation of where they are and only on what they have been taught. So please keep going. Now, after half term, it is imperative. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I think I got the dates wrong. The half term is going to be the week that starts, I think, the last day of May. So the week after half term, as someone's put on the group, on the question answer, is they come back on Monday the 7th. Sorry, my mistake. It's Monday the 7th, Tuesday the 8th, and Wednesday the 9th of June. I think I might have said the 3rd of June, so I apologise for that.
So we can amend it to the
yeah, we'll amend it for PowerPoint. 7th, 8th, and 9th. So they must be back in on Monday the 7th of June.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Cabrera. So they do need to come back because we may need to have some extra work with them, just as Mr. Cabrera said earlier, to get them to where they can be. And if they're, for example, they're on the cusp between a 6 and a 7 or a 5 and a 6, we may need to do that extra work. And it may also be the case for those students who've missed any CAPS test that we can use that period of time to fill those gaps, if you like. Another really key thing is to make sure that we have up-to-date contact information for parents and guardians, as sometimes we do send out communications and parents don't receive them, and often that is because the information that we have currently is not up to date. So if you have had a change of circumstances, a change of address, or you've moved, or a change of email, because emails are our primary means of contact often, please email myself or email Mr. Cabrera to update us with those, and we can get that updated on the system. Punctuality. Generally, again, I'd like to say how proud I am. The boys have been really good. They have been coming in. Attendance is pretty good. Punctuality is pretty good. It could always be better, and it is important that they are here on time. It's not, you know, the later start has kind of changed things a bit, but they still need to make sure that they are here. Every moment is absolutely vital at this time. With regards to the exam conditions that Mr. Cabrera referred to earlier on, the high control, it is, again, we need to ensure that it's fair, that every single student is being tested under the same conditions. And so therefore the students must follow the exam rules as if they were in a formal exam in an exam hall. They're just in a classroom. That's the only difference. And we will obviously have a robust policy in place for any transgressions of those rules. So it is important. Again, I can't emphasize enough, every CAP test, every grade is vital, because this is what we have. This is the basket of evidence that we have, that we can say, right, so-and-so student is a 5 in English, and this is why. That 5 will only exist if we're able to say, and here's the evidence for it. So from that perspective, every CAP is vital, every test is vital, every grade, every answer is vital, because that can all contribute to pushing the student from a 4 to a 5, or a 5 to a 6, or a 6 to a 7. So it is absolutely vital, again, I repeat, for them to make sure that they attend school and that they complete all of their CAP tests. Without that evidence, there's just simply nothing we can do. Right, and finally, or near enough finally, next steps. I know that the overwhelming majority of students, although they've had a lot to think about, I've spent quite a lot of time talking to them as groups, as individually, about their next steps, what they're thinking about, what they'd like to do. And I also know that some of them have been quite overwhelmed with what's gone on, and just sort of the ability to think beyond where we are currently, which is perfectly understandable. But it is extremely important that there are college applications in place or apprenticeship applications in place for next year. I know it may seem like a little bit of a while away, but it is just going to come, and something needs to be in place. Most of our students do have, but there are still a few who don't. And our careers officer, Miss Cashmore, is available for them to speak. She has made appointments with those students who still don't have anything in place, and she'll continue to do that. But if there are any students out there, any parents out there that have got some questions, need some guidance on next year, need some support, please do let myself, Mr. Cabrera, or Miss Cashmore know. Are there any more for me, sir? Or are you going to take over again?
I think you'll take over. I'll take over. Thank you, Mr. Nelson. And I want to thank Mr. Nelson actually for everything he's done to assist me, also to help manage these CAP tests, to help with your students to be the best they can. He's an amazing head of year, or APL as we call him now. So I want to publicly thank him for everything he does. He knows the boys very well inside now, and he's always there for them. There have been, in the past, there's been instances where students who have done normal exams under normal conditions have maybe had something that happens to them on the way to school, or a family bereavement, or someone went into hospital and it's affected them for that exam. And we've been able to send a form off to the exam board saying, we just want you to be aware of this. You might like to give them some special consideration. Special consideration cannot be applied for to the exam boards now. Because we are generating the grades, what the exam board is saying is that you will basically take that into account because you know what's going on. So we will take into account any special consideration. We learnt today of a student who was unprepared for one CAPS test because mum was quickly rushed to hospital. Fair enough. We can take that into account. We can put an extra assessment in, say, the week before half term or the week after half term. We can look at the paper and see that it hasn't matched up to some of the other papers they've done. So maybe we can record, and everything we do, we have to record, what we can do to help. But you need to let us know. So that first point, please, please, please inform myself or Mr. Nelson if there's anything that you think might be affecting how students perform on the day in a particular test. Please let us know. That's really important, and we really do need to know what's going on. I've got some questions on the Q&A, so that's where I picked up that I might have put the wrong date on. I will go back and check that, and I will change it. But as I said, it's Monday the 7th when we come back after half term. So just please be aware of that one, and that's a date that they must come in. I can't stress that enough. We need them in there. Other questions that we've had. This is a really good one. Can my son submit evidence of work he's done with his tutor to help his grades? No. It's quite blunt. If the tutor is working with your son, then that should be evident in the test that they are doing. Teachers have been very clear. We have had one advantage of doing the CAPS tests, in that we've been able to tell students, and we've been able to cut the syllabus up into smaller chunks. So rather than doing one exam that covers the entire syllabus for 2 years, we've been able to almost do it in a modular fashion, so that we just focus on certain areas of the curriculum for that test, and then we move on to a different area. So as long as external tutors are working with the students, and they work with the students to prepare them for their CAPS test, if they've had additional help, that will be appearing in their work, and we should see the evidence in the result that they get in their CAPS test. The same way that if they were working with an external tutor before their actual exams, if they sat it, it wouldn't matter what they did with the tutor because it would be what they sit in their actual GCSE that counts. We can't accept evidence from the tutor because we have no way of controlling how that assessment was carried out. We don't know if the tutor gave them additional help. We don't know if it's done under exam conditions. And that isn't to say that, we couldn't accept your word, but for it to be consistent across the board, we can't accept that. And we made that decision and we've had that accepted. So I apologise for that one. What else do we have here? Do CAPS tests include coursework? In subjects where there is a large practical element, such as some of the BTEC subjects, obviously the coursework forms part of their assessed grade. So where there is a course that has involved coursework, and we call it non-examined NEAs, non-examinable assessments, then obviously that has been taken into account. That has gone through the same moderation process. That has gone through the same process of checking that it's at the right level as all their other work. So if the final grade involves coursework or not NEAs, then yes, we will include that in there. That'll be one of the additional bits of evidence that they will receive. They will have. Yes, we will be able to access these slides. We will make them available. We'll put them on the school website. We'll send you a link and we'll make sure that the slides are changed and corrected and available to you. Yeah, I've answered the questions. Yes, I do. Change the date. If you're not satisfied with your CAP results, could you retake the tests? No. You can't retake those tests because you resat them. It would mean teachers and us having to create another test that covers that content. And that is why we said that you need to be available for us when we come in. We've given students notice. You can, if you are unhappy with your grades when you get them, the government is in discussion at the moment, they're in consultation to see if they will publish an October set of exams which students can sit, which is what they did last year. So students can sit an exam in October and have an opportunity to improve their grade. If we feel that the CAP results really don't reflect what the students should be achieving or what we've seen in other work over the last 2 years, then that is when we might ask them to come in and do an additional piece of evidence because we need something to help. But as a matter of course, students can't say, oh, I didn't work very hard for that one. It's a really good question though, because in our first CAP in one subject, I did have a teacher say to me, I had a student say that they were disappointed with their grade. They've been working at a 7 consistently beforehand, and they got a 5. And when I spoke to that student, they said they hadn't revised for the CAP test. Now, that's what we're trying to say about it's not a rehearsal. They didn't revise. And you can't suddenly say, oh, I've done badly, can I take it again? Yeah, I'm really sorry. This is their exams. These are their grades. We will do everything possible to ensure they get the grade that they deserve. But they can't just arbitrarily say, can I retake the test? I'm really sorry. Although I am a bit scared of going home tonight because my year 10 stepdaughter hasn't done very well in her physics, apparently. But I'm sure she's done her best because she always does. But I might carry on with this webinar a bit longer. Yes, the webinar is recorded and we will be making that available to people. During that week of the 24th, imagine it's if they're doing their DT or art or food, they can prepare for those in that week. But as far as we are concerned, unless you are told otherwise by us, they won't necessarily need to be revising because there are no up and coming CAPS tests. If we feel that a student needs to come in and do those additional work, we will let you know. We will say what they're going to be tested and give you a chance to revise for it. Half term is the week of, let me just check the diary. Half term is the week beginning the 31st of, basically the spring bank holiday, the 31st, Monday the 31st of May is the first Monday of half term. Another question about can we repeat one of the tests if they're less than the other two? That's why we've got a broad range of evidence. One test is not going to affect your overall grade. So if one test is out of sync with the others, that is where we will put our moderation in place. That is where we will look at all the evidence we have. We might go back and look at past papers. We might go back and look at their mock papers, and we will come up with the grade that we feel is justified. So we will look at it, but the 3 CAPS tests combined do not generate your final grade. They contribute towards it. They're going to be used by teachers for that grade, but teachers will have to write in the grade that they believe the student should get, which is checked by the head of department, checked by SLT, and we will not send it off until those checks have been made. So don't worry about one individual test. Let's just make sure that overall we're getting a true picture of where the students are. No, they won't finish school as soon as they finish exams. They must come in the week after half term, and then we will let them know when they're finishing school, and that will be it. We will let them know when they're finishing school. It has to be agreed. We are waiting for the government. They did talk about making the students stay on, but I think they backtracked on that one. Let me see. I don't. Oh, the Duke of Edinburgh Awards. I don't know about the Duke of Edinburgh. Somebody can you please update on the DOE awards this year? But I will speak to Mr. Henry. We'll speak to Mr. Henry tomorrow, and we'll find out what's going on with that and get him to be in conversation with you. Message from Dario. It's not about the highest grade in a particular test. It's about what you are producing over the tests and also what you've done in the past. So, Dario, we are taking loads of different elements to give you the best grade and the grade that we feel justifies your performance overall. There isn't a last day for year 11s. They have to come in the week after half term, and then we will let them know when they are going to be leaving for good. For students doing double science, they get 2 grades. It's based on physics, chemistry, and biology. And we have a program called Pupil Progress online, which maps all the assessment objectives to all the individual parts of the individual sciences, and it creates a cumulative grade. We have grading criteria that do it. It's really complicated but very clever. So basically, their grades in biology, chemistry, and physics are all taken into account to generate the 2 grades they get for science overall. So that is they do more exams in science, but they are taken into account. No, half term in essence for students in year 11, unless they're doing the food, the DT, and the art, as I said, their half term does sort of start on the 24th of May, unless they're told to come in. Maths get people in early to do because they've been doing maths intervention with people all along. So because they have that maths intervention class, maths have been getting them in early to do some preparation with them and to try and get everything in time. So maths, you would have been informed hopefully in the past that those interventions were going on before on those days, and that's why the students come in there. Yep, we will be uploading it. Repeat there, we will be uploading it. No, the additional, if there is any additional requirement for testing, that will be done by us because we feel we need it. After they finish CAP 3, they'll be revising in subjects where they haven't yet taken, say, if they finish their maths, they can use their maths lessons to revise for the CAPs coming up. As I say, once they've done that, then in essence, they're going on study leave from the week before half term. Can school please finish early? I wonder if that's coming from a student. We are trying to see our best. School is finishing early. It's, we will try and get you to finish before the other students do. But as I say, that Wednesday you have to be in, and we'll let you know as soon as we can when school can finish. But I don't submit the grades to submit the grades till the 18th of June. I'm going to try and give every opportunity to get the best that we can before then. So, the 18th of June will be the ultimate, but it's probable that you'll go long before there. We will send a link to the webinar recording to people. Another question. Will students get Leavers hoodies, Mr Nelson?
I have sent out to tutors to ask the students how they felt about Leavers hoodies, and I have to say that the feedback was not great. I do have a company standing by, but it only really becomes worthwhile if enough students want to have them. What I will do then is tomorrow I'll go to tutors again and see if we can get the numbers to a point where it makes it a viable proposition.
Someone says, is this the case for year 10 next year? No, at the moment, you know, apparently from June the 21st, we're all going to be back to normal. We'll all have been double vaccinated. Mine's next Thursday. I've got to tell the head that I won't be in the morning to have my second vaccination. But, you know, hopefully they say from June the 21st, we should all be, you know, relatively back to normal. I'm hoping that for year 10, they will be back to doing proper examinations and actually having sat examinations. There is a consultation out, and we are working, you know, with organisations to say that, you know, lockdown has affected year 10s as well. So I'm sure that year 10 exams will be affected in terms of what they are assessed on and the content maybe, but I can envisage that there will be no need for teachers to do this again, and I really hope there will be no need for teachers to do this again. I really do. What happens if you fail maths and English? Not really fail. If you get less than a grade 4 in maths or English, the government say that if you go into further education, so you go to sixth form, or you go to a college, or you go into an apprenticeship, you're required until you're 18 to study and resit your maths and English until you get a grade 4. And if you want to go to university or some colleges to do higher level courses, say A levels or A level equivalents, you need to have level 4 minimum in maths and English. So if you don't get a level 4, you will need to continue studying it from next year onwards until you get a level 4. Or if you get to 18 and maths is really not your thing and you haven't got there, then you can stop then. But that is a government initiative, and it's due to funding. So all apprenticeships, all FE colleges and colleges, schools like ourselves, we have to follow those rules, unfortunately. Will there be an end of year trip? We did look into it. It's so difficult because of limited numbers at, say, places like Chessington and places like that, because even coaches are a little bit afraid of having sort of 50 people on one coach. It is really difficult to do. So that's why we're trying to do some more non-academic, non-subject related activities on the first week back after half term, to basically just, you know, have some fun. And I have asked the governors last night and Mr Garrido if there is a chance that on, say, one of the days when the army come in, that we may be able to get a pizza van or, you know, some sort of food van to come in, so it won't be school dinners, and we can provide some food for them free of charge, to say, you know, a rewards event, to say, here, have this, enjoy, and do something fun with them, because we feel they deserve it. And they sort of said yes. Well, I said they said yes now, and it's on recorded, so it's got to be true. Just rolling down to the bottom of the screen, see if we've got anybody else. Yeah. If you want to go on and do maths and a specific science in A levels, then you have to look at the grade criteria for that course. I believe that it needs to be a level 6 or higher to do maths. It might be a level 7, which is the old B grade, to be able to do maths and a science. So please, yeah, that's worth speaking to Miss Cashmore, or going on the school website and looking at the virtual prospectus for the sixth form. Speak to Dr. Woodburn or Mrs. Watts, who are in the sixth form. That's the sixth form pastoral and academic team. Dr. Woodburn is the head of sixth form. Mrs. Watts is the pastoral manager, pastoral lead. If you want to speak to them, they will be able to answer those questions. if that's a specific question, if they come to see us, we will help. Will we get help with our CVs? We did do that in lockdown. We have got templates and help to help people. So please, let us know if you need help with CVs. I can help you with that, and we can put you in touch with the website, or I can give you a template to use. You can go anytime you want. Someone's put, can I go now? I can't, but you can. And I think that's the last message I have. So unless in regards to the army, do you know which regiment will be there? No. I think they're just a group that works on sort of help going into schools and doing some days with them and stuff, but I can find out. I think that's it. We've had 38 questions. I've tried to answer as many as I can. If you want to come up with any more, please do. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you for your continued support. Go back to what we showed you before. We did say be prepared. It's not a rehearsal. And you know what? Coming together is the beginning. Keeping together is progress. But we have worked together. And I firmly believe that working together is success, and we will be successful. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Please email us if there is a problem. We will email a link out to this presentation, and we will email a link out to the recording. But thank you very much. Have a very safe evening, and just work hard, boys. If you're listening, work hard, do your best. Thank you very much for listening. Good night.
It's good night from him.